we discuss a lot about why we should not divorce. But there's another question. How can you prevent divorce? And that's maybe also a much harder question. Many people who actually end up divorce, one of them did not want the divorce at all, did not envisage the divorce, did not even contribute to what led to the divorce. And so it's a pretty difficult question, asking ourselves, how can you prevent it? How can you prevent the divorce ever happening? I think that's something that we have to keep asking ourselves and praying to God that He will give us wisdom. But to me, the most important of all the reasons is simply this, that you depend on God. You cannot manage another person. You even have difficulty managing yourself. Isn't that what we talk about addictions? Where people get into something, maybe willingly, but after some time, even if they want to pull out of it, they are unable to pull out of it. They are stuck with it. They are addicted to it. They are held prisoner by it. So it's very possible that even people who are the ones who have led to the divorce, they themselves do not like the divorce, do not want to be divorced, but there's something holding them. Isn't that what really happens? Sometimes you can't tell an adult man in his 40s being manipulated by a girl his daughter's age, and he totally messes up his marriage for the sake of a small girl. And the guy says, unless you divorce your wife, you are not coming here again. Unless you divorce your wife, I am going to tell everybody. Unless you divorce your wife, now, my friend, the guy finally has to divorce his wife if he doesn't want his future messed up, although it's already messed up. So there are many people who are not really keen on divorce. In fact, they thought that they can play games. They cheat the girl. I don't like my wife. I am not quite interested in her. We don't cope. I don't get what I need in a woman, in her. You are the only one who can meet my needs. But in the meanwhile, he keeps going back home and telling his wife the same thing, how wonderful she is. He thinks he can play the games. But for some time he realizes he can't just dump the young girl the way he wants. He is a prisoner there. And of course, some, I'm told, is actually they become sex addicts, such that the wife cannot be enough. He moves from this girl to this girl. He's a sex addict. It's ruining his marriage. It will even lead him to divorce, but he feels helpless. So the question still is, how can you prevent yourself from doing things that could lead to divorce? Second question, how can you help the other person not to divorce you? How can you assist the other person who wants to divorce you not to divorce you? That's a much harder question than the first one, because at least you can have influence on yourself. But on your spouse, if she has decided she doesn't like you, if he has decided his interests are elsewhere, how do you stop him divorcing you? How do you recreate your marriage? How do you strike the match again, the original match, so the marriage can be, ignited to be enjoyable, and so he is able to live all others, like he said during the wedding day? How do you do that? And that's going to be quite a question that you need to deal with. Those questions are important for people right from before they are married and those who are already married. But the final question will be, if you're already on our way to divorce, you have already been seeing lawyers, How can we stop it? By the time both of you are seeing lawyers, means both of you have given up on it. And yet in my suggestion, as it's the wrong direction you are going, how can you stop it? How can you stop going into divorce? And I think that's a very, very important thing to talk about. My prayer is that even as we discuss it, that God in His own wisdom will give you an idea. The first thing is you must look at your relationship as something very critical. And if you take it as important, you want to study what is ailing our marriage. And find out, do you have anything you can do to stop that? You are also going to see, to kind of disabuse yourself from the notion that divorce is a solution. Understand clearly that divorce is not a solution. And so you go into other ways, because you can see clearly, if you go to divorce like you have been saying, you end up with many, many problems that come out of that. You are already aware that those who are married, even if their marriage is not very happy, are still in a better position than the ones who have divorced. I know your marriage is hurting, but I'm saying that you even be hurt more, and that's what you have been saying. That realization alone will help you to act. So what am I saying? 3 things. Number 1, believe that it's not right to actually divorce. Number 2, believe you are likely to end up with more problems by divorcing. Number 3, believe that it is possible. God can bring you back into an enjoyable marriage. And many people can give you testimony about that. It's called a second chance. And you can imagine you had a difficult marriage for 10 years. And you have the last 20 years you have had a blissful marriage. It is possible. You have to believe it is possible. Because the moment you give up on something, it will be difficult to emphasize. Now, if you believe it is possible, that will send you to a counselor. Why a counselor is important? Because somehow, as they listen to you, something happens that allows you to hear your spouse. In many times of counseling, I hear one person say, "But you have never said that." I said, "But I've been telling you all the time." But as you are talking, the two of you, you end up quarreling. In quarrels, you are thinking of what to tell him and how to hurt him than listening to what he is saying. A counselor becomes like a referee, allowing the game to be played fair. And in the process, you're able to hear each other. I would suggest that don't go to divorce without seeking a counselor. Of course, there will be 3 qualifications of the counselor. I would suggest that the counselor himself is married, is struggling with the same things you are struggling. Number 2, that the counselor believes in God. You don't want a counselor who doesn't trust in God, who doesn't have the biblical worldview. And I think that will be important, very important. Number 3, who has some training, some experience, something that tells him how to counsel. Not just about knowing about marriage, but how to counsel and help people out of it. But the 4th one is even more critical. Somebody who is able to keep confidentiality. Somebody who knows that these people fighting tomorrow may turn against you yourself as a counselor. So they hold everything in confidence. It doesn't, what is discussed with the 3 of you does not go to anybody. That is something. So I'm suggesting, remember you're answering the question, how can you prevent yourself going straight all the way into divorce? given the challenges you are currently going through in your marriage. And I'm saying, my friend, it will be important that you believe it is possible to salvage it. Therefore, I'm recommending that you go for counseling. You look for a counselor who can actually help you in your marriage, and I think that will be important. And as you do that, as you seek the help of a counselor, many other things might also start working. Why don't we talk about you yourself? Because you have said you are part of the solution. Find out, are there things you are consistently doing that are making the life uncomfortable for your spouse? Look at the kind of things you fight over. Can't you allow yourself to lose a battle so that you win the war? Have you become a nagging person where you fight over everything? You never allow the other person to win. It's childish, and you destroy your marriage. Why don't you start laughing at yourself when you fight over very silly things? Losing your temper and getting angry. Temper tantrums like a small toddler. Why don't you recognize it in yourself? And when you discover it on yourself, it will help you to struggle to stop it. Those negative things that you have been doing that are making it impossible for a healthy relationship. Instead, start looking at the other person and look at how good they are. I know they are bad here and here and here. Look for what is good, not what is bad. And you start saying, yeah, this guy doesn't do this and this and this, but he does this and this and this and this. On a scale of balance, still a good guy. I would want to be married to him. So that way, when you start thinking about how good a guy is, despite all his failures, you want to respect him. And when you respect somebody, it becomes easier to overlook small things. Isn't that what the Bible says? That love covers a multitude of sins. Love covers a multitude of sins. That means when you love somebody, you respect someone, you allow him to hurt you here and there without making it a big elephant in the room. And I think that will be important. Now, once that is sorted out, you have understood your contribution to this problem, and you are trying to manage it. I think you turn out now to be interested in looking for ways of increasing the friendship. And by doing that, you want to give yourself to him, to her. And I think that will be something that will be important for you to undertake and for you to deal with. But I think another thing that you need to understand is, as you go for counseling, as you study your own self to see what your contribution is, as you study the guy to see what is good about him, as you commit to improving the friendship, make a commitment that this marriage will not break because of me. I will do everything possible with God's help to salvage it. But that will only work when you're not looking for quick wins. You have determined to save your marriage, but don't expect an immediate result. If it comes quickly, thank God. But it needs time. People take time to change. And I think that will be important. And not only does it take time, please understand some things will not change. You must accept your spouse with the differences they have. If they are man and you are a woman, there will be men differences. If there will be gender differences. If their personality is not like your personality, there will be personality differences. Since you are not born where you are born, there will be background differences. And those are not things you frustrate yourself by trying to change them. Instead, you accept him the way he is. You wish was like this, but he isn't. You wish was like Kamau, but he's not Kamau. Marry you, this one you married, Otieno is the one you should stay with. So accept him the way he is. I think that will help to salvage your marriage. But I think the next thing I want to mention is the importance of getting information. Now, not counseling, is attending marriage seminars, reading marriage books, listening to marriage audio and video messages in the internet or wherever. Get information, but don't go for the wrong information. Within the first 5 minutes of listening, you know the worldview of the person. Don't sell your mind with the wrong information. Look for people who are teaching about it is possible. It is possible. When you do that, since you already decided you want to salvage your marriage, listen to people that help you enrich. So read books that are against divorce. Listen to videos that are against divorce and that are helping you to fight for your marriage. So, since in your mind divorce is not a possibility, you do not want divorce at all, then you will not feed yourself with it. That negative thinking that makes you think of divorce will go out, because for you it's off the shelf. It's not one of the things. You are looking for ways of resolving conflict and therefore saving your marriage. You are not looking for how to destroy it. So divorce is not a word. And you need to deal with it. If after every discussion you tell your husband, I'll divorce you, you start believing you. And the moment he believes you, he will also start working his out plan. That's why you start looking for a girl he can marry. Now, because he was committed to that marriage, but you are the cause by putting the word divorce in your vocabulary. It's wrong. Even if you don't mean it, it will still have the negative impact. Remove the word divorce out of your vocabulary. Let's talk about how do we sort out this issue. And if you think he's not listening to you, insist on going for counseling. But don't use the word divorce regularly. It could be believed, and once the other party believes, even if you didn't mean it yourself, you will be surprised how quickly you are going to end up in divorce itself. But I think it will be also important now to confront the other person and say, I want to salvage our marriage, but these are the things that are disturbing me. Maybe that may not necessarily need a counselor, but I think it will be important to see exactly what are the challenges. Let the person know what is challenging your marriage. What are the basic things that are disturbing you, and why are they disturbing you? What is disturbing you, and why are they disturbing you? And like I'm saying, if the other guy is willing to listen, you don't even need a counselor. I think it's too good to go to it and say, today I just want us to talk about my needs. Let's talk about why I'm unhappy. And I want to hear your opinion, but I just want you to know it is disturbing me. Once you share your needs, if the other party still has even a similitude of wanting to save the marriage, you have armed him with the possibility of helping to save the marriage. because he doesn't have to do a PhD on what's disturbing you, what disturbing you. You know, some people say, it's obvious. He should know. No, he doesn't. You think he knows, but he might not know. Your wife might not know exactly what your problem is. Come out clear about the things that are disturbing you and the needs that you feel your spouse is not meeting. Come out clear. You can write them in a document. You can talk to somebody verbally, but think through yourself first before talking. I think that will be important, an important thing you do. Once you have done the things I've discussed so far, it is time to start investing time with one another. You are still not too happy about it, but the man has been given the capacity to choose when to get annoyed. You don't get annoyed by choice. You agree to go for a date, and you can ensure that date works. Because even if somebody annoys you, you refuse to get annoyed. You want a happy time. You want things that can remind you. So you need to, people call it quality time. Spend quality time together. That will not be possible if I bought you a dinner to have a good time. Then you start saying how I feel in the morning. Start talking about how on the wedding day I did something wrong. No. We are not like animals who work on little flex. You have the ability of saying, I'll pack this. We can discuss it another day. Now is a time to have good time together. And as you start having good time, it will start making you believe in the marriage again because of the quality time. That's something, of course, that you never have stopped. Same way before the wedding, you used to take each other for dates. Now in marriage, even if you have been 60 years married, it will still be important to have time together where you decide there's nothing that that's going to spoil this time. This is a time to enjoy ourselves. And both parties know. That doesn't mean there is no problem, but this is not the time to discuss them. And of course, it is in that time when you end up even sleeping together. But that will not happen when every time you are together, you want to discuss about the problems. Your wife wants sex, but for you, only after you do the following. Now, my friend, pack those things. Enjoy the sex act. Doesn't mean you have no other problem, but you have packed it aside to be dealt with another day. I told you there is a time when you sit to discuss problems. But now you must allow for times when you don't discuss problems. And one of the things that will kill your marriage is lack of sex in the marriage. And there will be no sex if all the time you are discussing is what has annoyed you. You need to call a truce and have a good time together. But I think sometimes it may also be important to have some accountability. There are people who keep promising and then they don't keep their promise. You made the vows, but you are not keeping to them. Maybe you need, now not a counselor, but a mentor who can help you out of the crisis by holding you to account. You talk before him and you meet him regularly and hold you to account so that you are clear the things you are committing to do are things you are actually doing. Obviously, that will be useful, but I want to repeat what I said earlier. You must accept that your spouse is not an angel. Therefore, do not raise every issue, every weakness he has. There's some weakness, especially when this is a weakness in his personality or his weakness because of his gender. Accept the things. Accept that they are human. Just like you yourself, you need to accept you have weaknesses and apologize for them and seek your spouse's understanding. But in the same way, accept that the other person is also human and there will be things that he actually feels in. And I think that will be important. My suggestion also is that you deal with your financial issues, because it's a big, just like sex is an issue. When people start getting sex outside marriage, I'm saying do and play, have a truce and enjoy sex in your own marriage. But also money. You need to come to where you have a common budget and you keep to the budget. You stick with it. You can't have people who are living together and anybody can do whatever they want with the money. It is true both of you contributed, but it's important, or even one of you contributed. But the use of it, both of you must agree how it is going to be using, with a clear budget, clear strategies of how you are going to use the money. That will reduce the money issues when you are clear what you are going to. But the money issue will only be important, will only work if you have a clear vision and mission statement. Part of it which includes that you want to honor God through your marriage. What's your vision and mission? I told you you begin with your vision, your spouse's vision, and then you look for a family vision that is that the two of you, we are in this marriage to achieve this. If it's clear, then your budget will be to support that vision and that mission. And I think that's important. But I think as I go towards finishing, one of the things that we must say quickly is that you need to have regular reviews. Just like when you do a strategic plan, after some time, you review it and you can make a new plan. I think it will be important that you do that on a regular basis. So as you finish, remember that marriage requires 100% of each. Do not try to give, my husband is giving 20, I'll also give 20. That will not hold your marriage. Each person must give 100% such that the marriage can last even without the other person's contribution. And I think it will be also important that you keep talking about how to build your marriage. And I've talked about that. Have Christian friends who keep encouraging you in your marriage. And then finally, look for friendship. Look on books on how you can make friendship, how you can build friendship, and practice it. How would you be going to look for friends out there when your own spouse is not friendly yet? Work on him. We call it courtship inside marriage. Wooing the other person to enjoy your company. Remember, the most important reason why we marry is simply companionship. What was missing in Adam when he married was a companion. God said it is not good that man be alone. What we are suffering from is loneliness. So if you really want to salvage your marriage, you must be good company to your spouse. You must be a good companion to your spouse. You must work at it. How do you work at it? By forgetting yourself and concentrating on what makes the spouse happy. If he also does the same, that will create a fantastic friendship where people look forward to being with one another, where they miss each other, and create regular, at least once a week, dates where you concentrate on one another. That's what really will bring you to prevent your marriage. And the most important of all the things of how to keep up from divorce, or even if you're at the brink of it, is prayer. Coming to God, surrendering totally to his control. Because he is the one who has said he hates divorce. Then you go to him knowing that because he hates divorce, he will help you. So prayer will be a very important tool for each of you. Even if the other party doesn't pray, pray yourself. God is able to handle him and bring him to conviction and returning back into the marriage. I think that will be very important that you do it. Of course, it's God who will help you to know that you do not want to remarry. It's not part of his will. Therefore, even if you leave this one, you'll be a lonely single. So with that in mind, you will work at the marriage you have in order, since you know there is nowhere else to go. You are not comparing your marriage to another. It is yours. This is what God has given you. Just like the other things God has given you and you can't change them. try to accept marriage as one of those things you have to stay with. And so in prayer, seek God's help.